Hey guys, this is Danny Boy. So, these next few Inferno videos are probably going to be my last, barring some miracle, because I cannot find motivation for playing Inferno in this game. It is just so slow and grindy and boring. And what you're seeing right now is basically how you beat content in Inferno, regardless of class. You create a build that has a mixture of 5 burst or defensive cooldowns. You lure a champion or unique pack to a door, and you have 1 offensive ability, and you die over and over and over again and burst them down, relying on your cooldowns. That's basically how every single class operates on Inferno. There is no variety in builds really whatsoever. I'm using my Rainman build right now. I know a lot of people use Dire Bats and Blow Dart, which you probably use more once you have a modicum of gear, but I do not, so this is the build that I have to use on my current gear level in order to efficiently kill anything. I know Barbarians are forced to use around 5 defensive cooldowns on Inferno and then 1 ability, and it's usually a Furious build until you have enough gear. Also, gearing up doesn't really make Inferno any more fun. It just makes the grind go faster. It's still Inferno. It's still repeating old content and having to deal with asinine crap with nothing to look forward to. And as well, I should say that there is variety in builds, but it's really only with your offensive ability. Every class is basically stuck using at least 3, usually 4 or 5 cooldowns. But it's basically just always the same. Inferno is just one huge brute force experiment. Just over and over again, you're just brute forcing bosses and what have you. Blizzard has massively misinterpreted, and I guarantee you there's going to be a smartass on the internet who's going to make a comic that's going to show Blizzard a bunch of idiot fans wanting a difficult content, and then Blizzard being so confuzzled because, well, that's what they asked for, so that's what we gave them, and now they're mad, and poor Blizzard. No. That's not what happened at all. Blizzard doesn't understand what actual difficulty is. Difficulty in scaling, or rather, is not just scaling up enemies and making them hit ridiculously hard and having a ton of life. That's not difficulty. That's just brute force and a grind. That's what Bethesda did in Oblivion when you put the difficulty slider all the way to the max. It just made enemies do 6 times damage and have 6 times health. That's all it did. Didn't change tactics, didn't add any depth to the game whatsoever. And Bethesda actually learned from that, and they didn't make the same mistake in Skyrim and in Fallout 3. Blizzard apparently wasn't aware of this, because that's all Inferno is. It's just scaling. The affixes do not add any tactics or depth to the game whatsoever. You are not building a character around, okay, well, I'm going to have this, this, and this, specifically to deal with an invulnerability Desecrator, Vortex, Illusionist. It doesn't work that way. They're all you kill all unique packs exactly the same. The only difference is some are literally impossible for you to deal with, so you need to just run past them, or leave the game and come back in and hope you get another combination of affixes on that enemy. That's all it is. There's no new depth. Bosses, even bosses, the act bosses, they don't gain any new abilities as time goes on. The only difference I noticed was on Belial. He has way more explosions in his explosion phase and on Hell, and I assume Inferno, than he does on Normal. That's really the only thing I noticed throughout the entirety of the game that was actually different. I thought they said that there's going to be new abilities and different tactics for the bosses and things are going to change. Nothing ever changes. This is how I would define difficulty. Difficulty is a mental exercise, a mental and physical exercise that's overcome through tactics, careful planning, or strategy, however you would like to describe that, patience, and skill. And really, in Inferno, the only elements you have are planning, not careful planning, just a modicum of planning to look at a build, put it together so that you can actually kill something, and then patience. There's really no skill involved whatsoever. What I'm doing right now is not skillful. I'm just luring this guy to a checkpoint because I know I'm ultimately going to die. Once we get to that checkpoint, I'm going to DPS him as much as I can. I will die. I will then continue to die over and over again until my cooldowns come off, and then I will blow him up. That is how you kill literally every unique and champion pack in Inferno on basically every class, unless you have so much gear and damage that you can just instantly kill everything anyway. In which case you're not skilled, you just have a shit ton of gear and you're one-shotting everything. There's nothing skillful about that. You just grinded through Inferno and Hell or bought stuff off the auction house or eventually the real money auction house, and now you can one-shot everything. There's no skill involved there. It's not the same thing. Inferno is a gear check. It's one massive gear check. That's all it is. You need to have a certain amount of gear, and then you can dance through it no problem. That's all it is. It's a gear check. The guy in Act 4 with the 2 swords that can one-shot you. If you don't have more than 21,000 health in Hell, he will one-shot you on that ability. Yeah, if you have an invulnerability, you can avoid it. I can avoid it with Spirit Walk, but he uses it more than once every 15 seconds, so I'll only be able to avoid it once. It wasn't about being skilled, it was about having more than 21,000 health so he couldn't one-shot me anymore. It was a gear check. That's strategy, that's planning, but it's not skill. And skill is the most important aspect of dealing with actual difficulty. Otherwise, it's fake difficulty. Examples, and this is a real concept. Look, go to, just Google fake difficulty, and I'm sure it will, you'll find a database, a game development wiki, or I think it's on the meme wiki or something. The meme website, Know Your Trope, that's what it is. Know Your Trope, it'll probably come up on Know Your Trope. Fake difficulty, there's a bunch of stuff about game development on that site. Game tropes and whatever. Fake difficulty is on strategy games back in the day when AIs would just straight up cheat. They would know everything you were doing. They would just teleport to you. They would have infinite resources. That's fake difficulty. That's not real difficulty. And the reason that it existed was because AIs were so crappy back then that developers couldn't do anything else. That's what they had to do. Platformers. Just cheat mechanics and platformers that instantly killed you. In this game, Vortex and Nightmarish are examples of fake difficulty. If you don't have a way to break them, and even if you do, if they're on cooldown, there's literally nothing you can possibly do to get out of a Vortex into a Desecrate that instantly kills you, or an Arcane Enchant that instantly kills you, or a Plague that instantly kills you, or a Molten that instantly kills you, or any other sort of death field that they can pull you into, or fear you into, or jail you on top of, or wall you in, or any of those mechanics. If there's nothing the player can reasonably do about it, it is not an example of real difficulty. It's an example of an asinine mechanic. Not the same thing. Really need to stress that, because that's all Inferno is, over and over again. It's just fake difficulty and gear checks. There's no depth. You only have 6 abilities to work with. How can there be depth? There's no strategy. I'm doing the exact same thing every fight. I have 5 cooldowns and 1 damaging ability in this build. It's the same thing for Barbarians. They have 4 or 5 burst cooldowns and then 1 attack, Frenzy or something, and they just auto-attack through the game in a Furyless build. Sure, when you're leveling up, you can try lots of different things and get by. Not so on Inferno. You have to be optimized, or you have to have enough gear to compensate for it. That's the only thing you can do. So, rather than ramble on through all of... I'm about to complete the crypt. Rather than ramble on through the cathedral, I think I'm going to just skip directly to Leoric and just show me killing... This is the Defiled Crypt in the cemetery. I'll show the crypt, and I will kill Leoric. Let me skip going to town, and we'll actually kill the Chancellor. I also think it is really awful that so many critics posted reviews for this game within like 2 days of it coming out, which literally it's impossible to get to the end game in that amount of time. Certainly when they were playing, I would hope they played the game before actually reviewing it, but they wouldn't have time to look at the streams of the World First guys and everything. By the way, all the World First guys, World First Inferno Clear was a wizard, a solo wizard who used a really cheesy exploit build in order to do it. I mean, good for him that he was World First, Inferno, and whatever. I mean, I don't care about World First to begin with, but good for him that he did it. But I would be far more impressed if he actually thought of the build. He didn't even think of the build. Somebody thought of the build on the beta forums a long time ago, and he just executed it. And the World First Inferno group clear by Method, at the end of their run, they were just handed and showered with gear by some American teams, or an American team that decided to quit and said the hell with it after the wizard got it. And they also exploited a chest for like 12 hours or something. which was hotfixed shortly thereafter. And I mean, it's fine, whatever. It doesn't. I don't care. It's not a big deal. Who actually cares about it? Good for them for being world first cooperative clear. I'm just saying the things that the world first guys had to do that the critics would never be able to do, and you guys won't really be able to do, by the way, either. You might be able to do the wizard thing, but that is more than likely going to get, if it hasn't already been nerfed. I know energy armor was just nerfed in the hotfix. I don't remember if that was part of the build or not, but it seemed like it might have been. Don't really know. But it will absolutely be nerfed eventually. And the chest thing was already hotfixed. You won't be able to do that again to make it easier. But the critics certainly wouldn't have been able to do that. And to review a hack and slash game before you have actually seen the endgame, which is easily half the game. These games do not have a lot of content. The longevity of the game is purely from the endgame. I mean, you can get a max level character to Inferno in a few days. I mean, I got mine to Inferno in less than 72 hours. So that's not, I mean, once there's nothing to do, I have no desire to play this character now whatsoever. The gear is boring. I have no runes to look forward to. Legendaries suck. Set items are pointless to craft because you have to actually disenchant legendaries in order to make them, and I don't even think they're that good. I can't group with friends because the scaling makes it incredibly slow and tedious, and we're faster progressing on our own. The only reason I'm even playing right now is because my friends have killed the butcher and I wanted to catch up with them, but who cares? It's so boring. Well, guys, that's the Chancellor. I'll continue this train of thought on Leoric, I guess. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and have a good one.